Thank you to FOREO Sweden for sponsoring this video. Let me tell y'all about the FOREO UFO 3. This awesome device helps improve the look of fine lines and wrinkles and gives you deeply hydrated skin. I have been using the FOREO UFO 3 for the past few months and have been loving it. The UFO 3, paired with FOREO UFO activated masks, is clinically proven to deeply hydrate the skin, reduce the look of fine lines and wrinkles, and be more effective than a sheet mask alone. The UFO 3 uses warming thermotherapy, cooling cryotherapy, LED therapy, and T-sonic massage to help the masks penetrate the skin, giving you more hydrated and healthier skin. There are 8 different modes you can use. Each UFO activated mask has a mode that can be paired with it using the FOREO app or by clicking the universal button on the device. The different colored LEDs let you know which mode you have chosen. My favorite mode is the blue LED with cryotherapy and T-sonic massage. The cooling cryotherapy really helps to reduce puffiness in my skin. Since beginning to use the UFO 3, I have noticed my fine lines are smoother and my skin is less puffy. The T-sonic massage helps boost circulation and feels great. The UFO 3 is rarely discounted, but FOREO has given us a link exclusively for our viewers to get 30% off. Also, the first 50 people to use the code Victorian will get an additional 10% off. I absolutely love this device, and if you have concerns about fine lines and wrinkles, I think you will too. Thanks again to FOREO Sweden for sponsoring this video.
Hello everybody, I hope you guys are all doing super duper well. It's been a hectic last few weeks. Of course with that there's good stuff, there's bad stuff, but really there's just a lot to go over and a lot to discuss and a lot of things I just really need to share with you guys. And of course there's work, progress, all the things happening here, the Charles's Brown House, and the Lustron, of course at the same time, which makes things tricky. But let's get into all that, shall we? First, let's cover this. Something I haven't showed you guys yet that I probably did about 3 weeks ago is this cute little table, which is essentially just made up of scrap. So this is a old sewing machine base, white was the company name, that I got out of a yard. Somebody gave it to me. It was a rusty, disastrous mess, which is why it has new hardware, because I had to drill out the whole hardware. I could not get it to let go. So electrolysis bath, got all the rust off, and gave it this black, red, and gold paint job, which I think looks pretty good. And doing a little bit of research on the company, it seems like this was actually their color scheme. So happy accident, just using the paint I have around here. The actual tabletop is oak. It's from those pews I bought a while ago. You'll notice these pews have come in handy kind of all over the place. That's another one there. So I've definitely been getting a lot of use out of these, and I still have a lot of that stuff to go. On top of it is my grinding and polishing station, which is super duper handy. Grinder, I obviously needed to sharpen my chisels, and I needed a slow speed one to do that. And I found this little Luther's grinder, Luther being a person that would work on leather, and I paid 20 bucks for it. It's an old belt fed machine, and I have a motor to drive it. So I figured this would be a super easy fix-up job. Oil the babbitts. The babbitts were good. These are the bearings inside there. And she works perfectly. So one of these spray heads from this here little needle shower, which we'll discuss in a minute because it's pretty cool, is definitely not like the other. One has definitely met my friend, the buff wheel, and its associated accessories. But yeah, you can tell it definitely does a pretty dang good job of getting these things to a pretty high polish. I, of course, could go further, but a lot of this stuff back in the day wasn't super duper highly polished, or not like mirror finish sort of stuff. A lot of that came later with chrome, so you don't want to take it too far, so that is absolutely perfect. And if you take a comparison of what it started out as and what it's looking like now, it looks pretty good. You can also see that I did polish through the layer of nickel plating that used to be on this, but of course that's a pretty easy fix. I have an electrolysis tank to do nickel plating, and I still have the solution from when I did it back in the day. But one problem I used to have is I couldn't bring things up to enough of a polish to get the nickel to look appropriate on these things. Now that I can really do a super duper mirror finish on them, when I do plate them, the nickel will stick better and have a near mirror finish to it as well. So yeah, pretty happy with that. Now onto the needle shower itself. This isn't something that's going to be installed anytime soon, but this is a tiny little needle shower. You can see here it is called the Kinney needle shower or a curtainless shower. Essentially this would go at the end of your tub and spray out in a way that it wouldn't, go out of the tub. But essentially this had the 4 little heads versus the D or U-shaped pipes that we have on our regular needle shower. But this was a quick little pickup and actually a little happy accident, because where this was located was somewhere my dad had to drive and get parts for the Lustron. So I was able to get this. I believe it was out of Indianapolis, Indiana, for I think it was $50, which really isn't bad for a little needle shower. And I don't think I'll find one anytime again soon. So this will be a nice little addition when I get to the second floor restroom and I put in the clawfoot tub, which this setup will be part of, along with a shower head as well, of course. And while that's nothing that's going to be installed for probably another 2 years, it was lying around and it definitely needed a polish, and it was a good example piece for you guys to show why it's important and why it's necessary and why it's a great thing that I have this little polisher figured out. There's so many little metal pieces that I have to fix, repair. This speeds everything up greatly. Now on to a little bit of good and a little bit of bad news. Bad news is I did actually get up in the lift this week for about 2-3 hours, checking a few things out, seeing how things were holding up. Really just more of doing an inspection to see how everything was going up there. Bad news is it wouldn't let me get back in. It wouldn't let me retract the arm back to lift. So I was pretty far boomed out. And, luckily I wasn't, really, really close to the house. That way I was able to get down safely because I couldn't rotate the thing. It wouldn't let me drop the basket. Or, wouldn't let me pull the boom in either. Turns out we have some kind of electrical fault going on again. It's an older vehicle and it's what I could afford for a lift. I definitely couldn't afford a brand new one. There's no way. It is throwing codes right now. The code says service needed. So who exactly knows what that means? I will, of course, call somebody tomorrow to try to figure that out. Obviously, now that the weather is better, which is part of the good news, the weather is finally broken. But now the weather's finally better, it is go time, especially before it gets really hot coming up in July, to get as much done as possible, as quickly as possible. On the other part of the bad news, Eric has pretty severely hurt his finger. He got it caught between a planer table and a board. I know nothing's broken and nothing is permanent, so thank goodness for that. On a positive note, he is on the mend and he is able to do some things with it now, so it has been a little bit since that accident. So currently he is taking the small sunburst pattern that goes above the smaller dormer, and he is going ahead and assembling that. I've got it all painted now, so we're close to having both the sunbursts done. Of course, not installed, but you can at least see what the beauty will be up there. So per usual, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But as long as we're 1 step ahead, I'm okay with it. It's just the nature of the beast with this. So on to what's going over on at the Lustron. There's actually been quite a bit of work because everything's been going pretty breakneck speed over there. We're really trying to push to get it done. So let's get into a few time-lapse edits of that. We painted the outside. It looks awesome. Can't wait to share that with you guys. And I'll come back with you because I actually have a lot to talk about with it pertaining to, what's going on with it, why I'm putting so much time over there, and, all the other stuff. So we'll get into that after the time-lapses. Lustron is definitely starting to take shape. I mean, here's what it looked like when we first bought the place, and here's what it's looking like now. Huge, huge difference. All the dents, dings, and parts that were messed up have been repaired, and it's looking extremely fresh. Now, is it 100% done? No, it still needs a lot of work. The inside still doesn't have its floor down, the kitchen isn't complete, there's a refrigerator I've got to fix, there's TVs to repair, there's an entire backyard to set up. There's a lot to do there still, for sure. And of course, in no way, shape, or form is it all going to be my task. You saw the two lovely ladies in the video, that is Dakota and Christy. They are truly amazing and have done the bulk of the work over there. When it comes to the more weird aspects of working on that house, it usually falls on my shoulders to come figure out what exactly is going on and how it was constructed and how it's put back together and how to repair weird little errors. More or less, it comes down to essentially, the Lustron is a very weird house built in a pretty weird way. It's one of those weird projects where it's kind of like working on a car, kind of like working on an antique or a vintage refrigerator or stove, kind of like working on an erector set. And then when you have two of them like my father does to kit bash multiple, basically kits of these houses together to make one whole complete original Lustron, it gets complicated digging through the parts and pieces, and who do you hire for that? And the answer is you don't, you call your son. Now, one thing with the Lustron and some other projects that my father has that I haven't been entirely transparent with you guys with, I've been calling it my father's house, and for all intents and purpose, it is my father's house. It's more his project than it is mine. But I'm still heavily involved with it because he set up a company to buy a few houses, and the Lustron falls into that company, and I am part of that company. He put my name on all of them. I'm his only son, and currently it's kind of a part of 3 houses. So there's one that's set up to be this crazy grandma's dog house thing. So there's dogs and art all over the wall and, like, you know, plastic covered sofas and old VHSs of like all the Disney dog movies. So, you know, again, kind of a weird, crazy place. And then he's got one that is a fully Christmas house that is, I mean, it's Christmas 24/7 in there all the time. He just bought a ski gondola that I had to help him go get, that we're figuring out a good way of setting up as kind of like a photo op when you stay there. So again, big, weird, goofy, crazy stuff. That is my father, truly. But the one thing about a lot of these houses is they kind of are my future. So I know there are definitely people who are not terribly excited about me putting my time and effort into the Lustron. It's something I have to do right now. It's a project that I must continue on. Now, I don't want to go into the intricacies of a hard money loan or all that, but essentially we've got 5 months to really figure it out, and that's it. That's all we got. If we don't figure it out, all the effort will be for nothing. So time is definitely of the essence. And again, when it is done, I do think it'll accomplish the same goal I want to accomplish here. Definitely a different decade, different style, but it is still that time capsule piece, that place that when you walk into, it's 1955. Everything says it. Every calendar in the house, every item you touch, everything in there is either from that era or before it. I mean, my father's even found bobby pins he's gonna put in the medicine cabinet. So like, it's really going to be something special and an entirely unique property. I know a lot of people with the Lustron have mentioned, oh, they have one in the Ohio Museum. They have part of one in the Ohio Museum. This is a whole one that you can stay in, that you can turn on the TV, that, you know, okay, yeah, these things are props, but you can touch them all. These are authentic items that you can play with and touch. And that is the exact same thing I want to do here. I want people to be able to walk into a Victorian home, sleep in the beds, take a shower in the showers, use the bathrooms and the toilets, have dinner at the dining table, and truly be immersed in that experience. And that's what my father came up with, this concept. And of course I encouraged him to do it, knowing pretty well, at least, that I would be taking on a lot of the tasks. And honestly, I've been having quite a bit of fun with my father working on this project. So yeah, it's kind of a complicated mess, and I've definitely spread myself super thin on all of this stuff. But I only have one life, and I want to make the most of it in as many ways as I possibly can. My goal in life is to leave this town better than I found it. And of course, hopefully make as many memories and spend as much time with the people I love as I can. And the Lustron definitely fits both of those needs. For me anyways. So let's get back to the Charles S. Brown house and some windows that I've been doing for the dormers. So the 2 dormers up there, they need the windows redone. So let's get into a few quick little time lapses, and I'll show you what's going on with all those. So let me just say, these sashes up there were not doing super great at all. You can see all of these white spots all over this thing. This is not paint, this is actually wood filler. I use the Avatron stuff, the wood epox, which is a fantastic filler. Highly, highly recommend this product. But you can see just how much of this I had to put in here. This is, of course, this is a bottom sash for the smaller dormer. It's actually a bigger window because the other dormer has 2 windows in it. But you can see just how much filler. The bottom sash obviously being worse because, you know, gravity pulls everything down. The water likes to settle here, and these were quite rotten. To the point where actually this is the only bottom sash I was able to salvage. And before anybody goes on asking, there is actually storm windows up there right now, which is why I was able to pull these sashes out without any concern of weather. The bottom sashes that are associated with these 2 windows, that's the top sash that matches the other one. But you can see these are quite a bit skinnier and taller. These actually go in the big dormer. And there are actually 2 sets of them. These are both the top sash. The lower sash that, you know, connects to the bottom, where you have your sash lock on and all that, those 2 sashes were complete garbage. There was almost nothing left of the bottom rails. So essentially this section, which actually sits against the bottom, so this is what would, you know, seal your window. This was completely rotten and completely gone actually on one of those sashes. The other one, when I pulled it out, that part actually fell off, and the bottom ends of these boards as well were completely rotten. So those 2 sashes are with Eric right now. He's going to rebuild them. He's only going to be able to save the top rail, which is fine. Again, they'll be fine. He'll get them back where they need to be. And we'll have 2 mostly new windows, or 2 mostly new sashes that will go in the place of those 2 that just didn't make it. But at least for the small dormer, those windows will be back in soon, and I'll go ahead and try to take off the old storm window, exposing, you know, a bit more depth, because the storm window makes everything look flat up there. When you put these sashes in, you get probably another 3 or 4 inches of depth to that window, which kind of looks so much nicer. And of course, these are the dark green. I think the color is called Jasper. These will match the rest of the windows in the whole house. This is not linseed oil paint, so I am kind of cheating here. But the windows are also really easy to pop in and out. So I'm not worried if this paint goes bad in 10 years, because that's an easy thing to scrape and repaint versus crawling back up onto the Mansard roof where I'm doing so much of that linseed oil painting. What would one of my videos be without at least this one quick little Sandy cameo? How you doing, Shop Kitty? So that's going to be it for me and Sandy here from the Charles S. Brown house. I know things are kind of slow going at the moment, and there's a lot of flux and weirdness going on. And per usual, I do apologize. I do feel like I owe you guys more videos than I've been giving you recently. But there's just so many different little factors and things happening at all times. It's hard to be able to sit down and get videos truly out. All right, enough of my rambling, guys. I will take my leave. I will hopefully be back with you guys all very, very soon. Hopefully with a lot more positive updates next week. Hopefully I can get the lift back together. We can get up and start working on the front of the building and take advantage of this beautiful weather that we've been having for the last week and a half. So until then, I bid you all adieu, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.